Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Before going any further, we are getting next to the end of the annual conference, and I wouldn't be happy if I am not, if I don't thank all the technical support, you guys who are behind the cameras and everything. You are doing an excellent job. We are really happy for this because we have the perfect technical conditions to have a really nice conference. Everything is going very smoothly, and that's really important for this kind of event. So let's continue with this open debate that we wanted to bring you on establishing dialogue between the public procurers and innovation providers. It is always important in the development of enabling methods and tools of innovation procurement, gathering representatives from public contracting authorities, some of you, programs and policymakers, and at the same time have SMEs and private companies is not a very easy task. I have been through this at my French Ministry of Interior, and it's not very easy to do that. So I'm really happy we have you here in front of the conference. So what roles do these various stakeholders have in the process? Who are the key facilitators for innovators to make it to the security market? What guidance is needed to better apprehend the innovation ecosystem? This debate will allow you to have a voice to share your thoughts and concerns and take one step closer towards improvements of dialogues between public authorities and SMEs, VMEs, startups, and any other kind of supplier of innovation. We will have a rare insight into the supplier's point of view on what is really needed in terms of information sharing, adaptability of public authorities, legal and financial frameworks to acquire innovative solutions, and more generally on how to meet the needs of our security services. So I'm really glad to welcome for this panel Isabel Rosa, Senior Procurer Expert and Portuguese. She's part of the Portuguese Ministry of the Defense in Portugal. Yes. Mr. João Simão, who is the IT Director of the Portuguese Criminal Police. Welcome. Mr. Álvaro Pires, Director of Finance, Procurement and Assets, Management Department of the Portuguese Criminal Police, Portugal. Welcome. And we have the representatives from the companies as well. I'm sorry, I'm just looking for the names. Maybe I have it in the right order, but Jorge Ferreira, thank you for being with us. You're from the UA Vision Aeronautics. Nuno Simões from Quantico Solutions. Helder Faria from True Wine. And will be co-chairing with me this debate, Joseph Kubinik, who you already met this morning. And Filomena, of course, sorry. I know I'm gonna pay for this at the end, but I'm sorry. So Filomena, public procurement legal expert for the Portuguese Criminal Police. She will be representing, of course, the law expertise and the criminal police as well. So let's start with the first question. This question is going to be an open question for all of you. So whoever wants to give an answer, please just speak up and we will try to have the correct answer. So we wanted to know for you, what would be the most important or the most challenging barriers for companies to get to the public procurement? Please.
I don't know if you can hear me.
No.
Okay, so I'm not an SME expert at all, but I've been looking at this already for some time, even from the digital procurement perspective, which I think helped a lot in terms of access to procurement, to submit bids, to access the documents. but still something was not solved. And the problem is trust. For me, this is the biggest barrier for SMEs because trust is something that you all know takes a lot of time to build, is destroyed very easily. And in the public sector, we have to invest more on build this trust environment for SMEs to be in public procurement. I just want to connect it to this, raise an issue that is the single bid. We have in the single market scoreboard in the EU a very dangerous PPI that is single bid is decreasing. That means trust is decreasing. So I think there's a high relation between these two aspects. And coming from the public sector, we really need to be more transparent and to build a trust environment for SMEs to be in public procurement.
Thank you very much. Yeah, really important to trust each other and to build that trust through the process, and it's a really nice point of view. I would like to have a point of view from the private sector. For you, what are the main obstacles that you have found in the way to public procurement?
Well, are you hearing me? At European level, I believe the main challenge that I found these last years was to be able to answer in different countries, because all the countries have different standards, have different regulations. Even I know the framework is the same for public tenders, but the countries are different. And the only way sometimes to be able to answer in tenders in other countries, in European countries, is to have a local partner that understands and knows very well the environment, and they have the trust relation with the local government to be able to answer. I believe this is what I found in the last years to be the big challenge.
Have you ever faced that kind of situation yourself? I mean, your company?
Yes, and I solve always in the same way. Find a local partner that already knows the customer, or already knows the sector. It's the only way. Otherwise, it is like a big nightmare to be able to answer, at least the first time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I completely agree with George. Our experience, we work mostly on the defense sector, but also have some experience on this area. And it's quite right, you know, you should have, it's not like an open way, you know, if you don't have a local partner or someone that can open the doors, because each country has its own specific details. Those specific details sometimes are the biggest obstacles for you to move forward. And one other thing, and I'm just talking about Portugal, which is probably where I have more experience. For us, sometimes it's what I call the easy way. So sometimes there are, in public contracts, there are, you know, most of the things you can do, but it's not easy to do, or they are extremely complex. I'm not a legal expert, so I'm sorry. I'm just more, you know, transistor.
Right.
But the thing is, sometimes it's so complex to go to that path that people will choose the fast way. And usually the fast way is in a way very damaging to Europe, because you can go and recur to other agencies that inevitably will move you forward to the other countries outside Europe, and it's actually much easier. So it's something that it bothers me a little bit, because, you know, at the recent events, as we can see, the COVID, and unfortunately the situation in Ukraine right now, I think it showed us when things get bad, you know, we need to have our own ecosystem, and we need to work among each other, and we cannot be dependent of the outside. So I think my key point here is the easy way should be all the way, not only the exterior way.
Yes, thank you very much. That's really important. So here's the call for all procurers, public procurers, and contracting authorities. We have to make it simpler and more efficient. Thank you very much. Any other thought from the contracting authority side?
Shall I say just a
Please.
few words? I think that we should also, in order to promote SMEs participations, which is one of the biggest aims of 2014 directives, we must look to this complexity. even we legal people, we must look and try to communicate, because we need to communicate in order to, we need to learn how to communicate with the private sector. I think there is public entities and contracting authorities, for cultural or for some reasons of the past, historical reasons, have some afraid of communicate with the private sector. They do not exactly know how to do it with transparency, with publicity, without violating competition rules, and therefore they try not to use it, and they go in a complex way, not because of the law, but because of this lack of communication. I think we must have guidelines, best practices, and a new communication. We have to have standards of communication between contracting authorities and the private sector.
Yes, thank you very much. I totally agree with you. I know I have to be neutral because I am moderating this with Joseph, but I am also part of the French Ministry of Interior in the procurement department. And sometimes it's the lack of communication on what is already disseminated and public. I was surprised whenever I speak to the SMEs, and I tell them, do you know that we publish all the projects that we have for 4 years, and they don't even know that we are doing that. So I totally agree with that. So sorry for this interruption. Any other comments from the contracting authorities on this? What do we need to get? Yes, please.
Eu poderia dizer, e continuando a observação que fez a doutora Filomena, é que enquanto utilizador das compras públicas, efetivamente o problema com que nós debatemos é a dificuldade que temos em conseguir interpretar a legislação, a complexidade que tem, a diversidade que existe, e é por isso que eu tenho umas fundadas esperanças no resultado deste grupo de trabalho, a ver se conseguimos obter um manual de boas práticas, se conseguimos ter instrumentos de trabalho que efetivamente nos ajudem a todos a ganharmos com as experiências, as diversas experiências que todos os participantes têm, porventura uns com umas experiências mais evoluídas do que outros, portanto isso é benéfico para todos nós, e até quem sabe se realmente conseguimos dar aquele passo de conseguirmos todos conjugar-nos e fazermos aquisições dentro deste segmento específico da segurança em conjunto, porque isso vai ser benéfico para todos, porque eu, além da questão da parte da contratação, também tenho a parte financeira, e obviamente que isto é uma casa que está virada para a inovação, tem interesse na inovação, por vezes temos alguma dificuldade de perceber como é que vamos chegar àquilo que queremos, sabemos o que queremos, não sabemos como é que vamos lá, mas também temos, é um problema, eu acho que deve ser comum, mas pelo menos é um problema da Polícia Judiciária, é os constrangimentos financeiros. Portanto, nós temos que atingir o melhor possível, da forma mais rápida, mas que seja o mais económico possível. E é isso que eu tenho fundado as esperanças de que o resultado de todo este trabalho, de largos meses até já anos, e que eu noto e tenho acompanhado, tem sido muito intenso de todos os participantes, que daqui saia realmente algo que seja útil para todos nós. É a expectativa que eu tenho, e agradeço desde já tudo o que estão a fazer para facilitar o nosso trabalho.
Thank you. I must say, yes, of course, we need to share information and share experiences. We tend to communicate and to share experiences when something goes wrong. And you say, well, this SME was really not doing their job, so everyone knows about that. But we rarely communicate on good experiences to say, well, I had this nice experience, I work with this company and everything is going well. So I really agree with you. And of course, the financial constraints are always present. Sometimes they're not compatible if we want to innovate and have better results at the end, if we don't have the resources of the financial resources to go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you. if I can join on that, what Mr. Peter said, I believe that HyperConnect as a platform and the online toolkit can present, as I mentioned before, examples of good practices. So that's one way how the HyperConnect can help you or your colleagues to see that, let's see, these are the good practices that good examples of joint cross-border public procurement in Europe, and you can show them those examples and see, okay, this was done in different state in this way, and it brings these benefits, but also this kind of difficulty. So that's what are we trying to do in HyperConnect. Also, what I would like to say is that within our consortium partners, we provide also the platform for communication. So one way how there are different ways how to do joint cross-border public procurement. You know, there is like hard way. So we basically have a one leader that is buying for other consortium partners, but you can have also kind of a cooperation procurement. So meaning everybody or each contracting authority is doing each tender, but they cooperate, they coordinate their action on a technical specification, and they share their experience. So this is one way also how the procurement can help other contracting authorities, and definitely Portugal Criminal Police.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And thank you all. I don't know if you still have some other comments on these kind of obstacles you have found in the way. Is there any other comments on that?
If I may add, and agreeing with everything that was already said here, one of the things that I believe it's a challenge and a barrier for procurement for the SMEs is the lack of tolerance to failure in whatever has to do with innovative processes. Failure is a part of the process if you are innovating something, and procurement in the public sector is not thought for supporting failure. So, and for me, that's one of the key aspects of all these processes that will allow to create the trust that will enable for things to work seamless and for the outcomes to be the focus rather than the processes.
Yes, you're right, and just focus on the functions. You know what really
on the outcomes.
Again, we come back to the specification and the real needs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and coming to that, it's a question of a risk, how you manage the risk.
Naturally.
Right? With innovation and new procedures comes more difficulties, comes the risk. So and we had a discussion with Philomena, many discussions with the risk aversion and how you can manage this risk. So can you share your opinion on the risk and the innovation we want to achieve?
Well, I think that, yes, Joseph is putting this on the table because we are discussing for a long time this issue, because for contracting authorities, risk assessment is not easy. We came from, well, European difficulties, 2009, 2012, well, for different countries in Europe, and everyone feels well. I'm speaking now in Portugal. Everyone feels well with the low prices criteria. So this is almost cultural, or it's apprehended as something smooth and not risky from contracting authorities, because when you say it's the lowest price, it's easy, it's mathematics. So even a lawyer can say which is the low price. So the issue here is, when you think about innovation, especially when you think about innovation, how can you not address risk assessment? First of all, so how can you imagine a contracting authority with all risks that has to support and to justify to Court of Audits, European Commission, and so on? And where are the guidelines for this risk assessment For instance, it's just the same when you think about IPR, intellectual property rights. Just here, when we think about innovation, how are we going to split intellectual property rights? Are we going, because the issue is, if the contracting authority says, okay, you are from the private sector, I don't have enough money to pay you IP rights, okay, you stay with your IP rights, but you have a risk that an auditing comes and says, this is not balanced. So you are giving a preference, you are giving something, you are giving too much for the private sector, so you are violating public interest. So for me, as a legal advisor for contracting authorities, especially for law enforcement agencies, I feel their difficulty, and I'm on their side, I feel the difficulty of assess the risk. How do we share risk with private sector without being pointed out as giving preference to the private sector? For this, guidelines, I think, are fundamental. We should have work with Court of Auditors, for instance, which is a pity we don't, and it is not possible. Me, myself, I have already written for Court of Auditors, trying to interpret the law of Court of Auditors and showing that, please, we have this difficulty. Just meet with us and help us. No, we are a Court of Auditors. That's not our function. So I think we have a long path to do here. But for me, this is a cross point, and we must address this. So this is a point of discussion that I like a lot. So I won't say anything, I promise, anymore.
Thank you, Filomena. That's really complimentary. Of course, the risk management and the risk assessment is always a really nice question. You just mentioned the IPR, which are always tricky in terms of the legal best option to.
And financial.
Yeah, of
because
course,
IPR
financial.
means money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have the companies here, but the IPR means money, in fact.
Yes.
It's patents and,
It's capitalism at the end of the day.
well, don't go.
George, I think you wanted to say something, or?
No, just to add that in the financial point of view, sometimes when we have to answer to a tender with lots of innovation, and sometimes we have more a wish list than the requirements. It happens sometimes, and we think we evaluate the risk, and we think, okay, we can go to this tender, but something goes wrong, and we, above all the financial problems that you can have with the project, because it extends on time, or because you have to expend much more than you expected initially, sometimes you have also penalties.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, everything is double or quadruple on top of the cost that you already have. So I believe this the risk assessment should really be think of.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a key point. You know, innovation is always a very dangerous word because it's very difficult to define. But one of the things that, like George mentioned, sometimes you got wish lists, and this is very common. And I think it's okay because, you know, if you want to innovate, then you need to make something that is quite new, so it can come from a wish list. Now, to manage the risk, that's another thing. And I think sometimes in public contracting, that is not foreseen. And of course, when we talk about decreasing costs, it's probably not the right way. And another thing is about IP, because IP for me, and maybe I'm going to say something very wrong, but I'll do it anyway, because when we sometimes we work with the public sector, okay, for example, with the public security agency or wherever, we can be privileged and actually define a product that is custom made, you know, and we learn from their own experience and requirements while we are doing the product. And that's quite nice, and it's good for companies. And I think that that's a key point for a company to invest, because then you can see if this company or this security agency, in this country needs this, then you can extrapolate to other countries. However, one thing that I found very interesting is if you want to share the IP with the public sector, is not possible. So I think it's something that makes no sense because, and I'm talking against me, of course, I want to keep the IP property only for me, but it makes no sense. So if you are developing a specific product, and you are going to get knowledge from, the operative personnel, people that are working on this for many, many years, their own knowledge, and then this knowledge will be acquired to you and embedded on a product, and then you can have a business model that you say, okay, but now I'm going to share this IP with you, so you can even get some earnings out of your own sharing. And this is not possible. Am I right?
I was looking at Ana Lucia Jaramillo, sorry if I'm pronouncing badly, and the value engineering, which is a wonderful presentation you made us yesterday. Thank you once again, Ana Lucia. And I keep that in mind because we are always talking about KPIs. We are talking about SLAs, of course, but KPIs, but we don't mathematically measure. And if we don't measure, for instance, something that always is always strange for me is you do not have a way to measure public sector knowledge and public sector contribution. When you are in private sector, you're a company, an SME, and you are together with a law enforcement agency developing a new product, an innovative product. But in order to develop that innovative product, of course, you have your own technical knowledge, but there's also lots of knowledge from the public sector, which is incorporated. And we don't know how to measure that value. So at the end of the day, when we want to split or share whatever it is, either IPR, and we can discuss not here because everyone would go out, but when you want to know and quantify, because you need to have a value of that in order to share. How much? What is the percentage, let's put it like this simply, in a simply way, of the participation of the company and the law enforcement agency knowledge? And how do you measure that? And if you don't measure that, you cannot quantify, how are you going to sharing?
That's called a negotiation.
Yes, but it's different to negotiate because you have public interest, so you have to measure. The negotiation between two companies is one thing, between the public sector and the company is another, and you know that. So you are just pushing me to say this. I know.
That was exactly the idea of the open debate, so you're completely right.
If I can complement on your question, like if we have an instrument for that, for sharing the IP rights with the, I have a question to Isabella Rosa. Do you think the innovation partnership can achieve that, to share the IP rights between authority and suppliers?
Yes, certainly it can be one solution. I'm not an expert in partnerships, but I think that could be a way. I was thinking while Filomena was speaking, and I think we also need innovation for finding solutions for this type of problems. And sometimes innovation is not only about creating something like an end product, it's changing the procurement as well. And this is the innovation that we need to change procurement for the better, to solve so many problems that we have that belong to the process of the public purchase, which is, as we all said already, quite complex, quite difficult, quite challenging. And we also need innovation here. I don't have the magic solutions. I just want to say that the public sector needs to change the mindset about innovation. Innovation is not about magic, will not bring the perfect solution for all our problems. We have to try and failure and try and failure and try and failure and learn with the process until we find the best solutions. And this is not only about the Court of Auditors. Of course, the Court of Auditors has a relevant role here, especially in Portugal. It's about all of us. We are not ready as a civil servant for failure because we were not educated like that. We don't work in this type of environment because we are not only a public servant, we also have political implications. Nobody wants to say to the minister, oh, it didn't go well. How can you say that? They will not accept that. And this is basically a much more structural change that we have to speak with all the words and face the problem instead of trying to find pieces and small solutions for something that is a change that is with each of us. We have to be able to be courageous enough to say sometimes that this is not to find the magic solution for our problems. This is to improve what we are doing. And innovation is exactly like that. Somebody told in the morning that innovation is not something new, it's about doing in a different way. And we have to do things in a different way. We have to change individually before we see the change in others. And that's what I want to say.
Eu, como responsável de tecnologia, portanto, não podia estar mais de acordo com aquilo que a Isabel. Temos vários patamares, nomeadamente, e eu introduzo sempre um tema da cibersegurança, e a cibersegurança requer inovação, e a inovação só se consegue fazer com experimentação e evoluindo, e sempre evoluindo, caindo. Para além de toda esta componente de tecnologia, é sempre importante ter os processos de contratação adaptados à minha necessidade de propor novas soluções, de criar ambientes mais robustos e mais resilientes. Não me basta introduzir tecnologia sem introduzir um componente forte da compra dessa tecnologia. O que eu sinto hoje em dia, não só o grupo de procurement, o que eu sinto é que as empresas neste momento não desenvolvem só para desenvolver, e estas discussões também promovem este tipo de debate. O que as empresas estão a fazer é ajustar a sua necessidade à discussão do cliente. O cliente já sugere que o produto a desenvolver se vai ajustar à sua necessidade, sem saber muito bem se é aquilo. E aqui entra o conceito de inovação de eu faço a experimentação, eu caí, levantei-me e volto a evoluir naquela perspectiva de uma evolução constante e criar novos produtos, novas soluções de resposta mais rápida aos meus problemas.
Eu só queria voltar 2 pontos atrás, até dando continuidade ao que estava a doutora Isabel a dizer, e o que disse o participante relativamente à questão das empresas poderem ser penalizadas. Ora, como disse a doutora Filomena, efetivamente o critério que nós temos que predomina é o do mais baixo preço, porque estamos a falar de contratações standardizadas. Portanto, podemos pôr o critério do mais baixo preço. Não é ideal, o próprio código também não recomenda, mas basicamente é o que prevalece de uma forma ou de outra. Se nós pomos o critério do mais baixo preço, naturalmente que temos que nos proteger para que as empresas cumpram e que o preço que apresentam é execuível. Por isso é que tem que ter as penalizações. Mas o que nós estamos aqui a falar é contratação de inovação. E a contratação de inovação, eu não vejo porque é que não pode ter uma partilha de risco. Mas na contratação de inovação. Porque nós estamos a falar aqui, o que nós fazemos geralmente é compras comuns, mesmo que seja para a segurança, seja para a defesa, é daquilo que já existe. Não estamos a falar de inovação. Se for de inovação, há sempre uma componente de risco. E uma componente de risco que pode ser partilhado, tal como pode ser partilhado os benefícios que resultarem, que era o que estava a doutora Isabel. Porque é que depois também não podemos beneficiar se o que atingimos ultrapassa até as nossas expectativas e até podemos ter descoberto algo. Basicamente, é isso é que nós temos de ter atenção. Agora é a contratação de inovação, que é isso que falha, que nós ainda não estamos devidamente preparados para implementar.
Definitely. We are we are talking about innovation procurement, so maybe the equation might be a little bit different. I really agree with you on the innovation is not the goal, it's the tool if we can, but you have to keep in mind that our first priority will be, of course, to have the best equipment and material for our security forces. That has to be our main goal. Thank you very much. Joseph, you would like to change a little bit the topic right now. So I'll give the to you. You have many questions, many interesting questions on procurement techniques and the way you perceive those kind of techniques. Joseph.
Thank you. I would like to go back to the topic I spoke about and very fond of, and that's open market consultation and preliminary market consultation. I know for some it's a hot topic, but I would like to know the opinion of suppliers here, representatives of companies. How do you see this instrument of open market consultation as a way how we can communicate the contracting authorities with the market? You see any benefits? So what are the benefits? And if you see some difficulties, can you share on that?
You want to start? No, you start.
No, I see benefits, no doubt. I believe that everything that one of the challenges that companies sometimes have is to find business. And if we have a platform when this business is promoted or ideas are promoted, and we have the chance, and we're talking about innovation, we have a chance to have some ways of funding something new, I believe everything is good. The only thing that I already talked about is about the risks involved that we talked so many times. But I believe this only advantage, yes.
Yeah. That's good to hear, because I see it also as just having the benefits, and that's actually the open market consultation can be platform where you can talk to the contracting authority and share your opinions about the risk. Okay, so what you are proposing? There are different solutions. You can achieve. You are saying to contracting authority, you can achieve it in this way, but this way has a risk. And you have to calculate that in a tender and in the bids, because you calculate the risk in amount of the money, right? So
and it promotes a dialogue between the parts. So
yeah,
I think that is the key issue. It's promoting a dialogue, and sometimes, when you start dialogue, you are already into the bid, so it's usually not a two-way dialogue. So I think it never is, right? So
that's interesting, because that's a role of a contracting authority to explain, like, where are the limits. These are the limits. We are just here to have a dialogue, to discuss the possibilities, how to solve my issues, to solve my problems, but we are not going to talk about the bids.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreeing with what was said, it raises new challenges, because you're no longer buying off-the-shelf stuff. You're buying with a different process, which is it's by itself already unknown. So that open negotiation, that open conversation might lead to different ways, different paths to solve whatever issue is being addressed. And it requires from both parties to have skilled people, more people, and if it is hard for the private sector to find good people with skills for innovative stuff, it will be much harder for the public sector to also do it. So that's for both parties to be prepared. It's one of the challenges I see for that. If you think of cybersecurity, that João was saying, it's something that keeps changing every day. It requires permanent investment. And taking that as an example, it's no longer buying off-the-shelf stuff. Both parties have to be qualified, and I see that as a real challenge for the public sector. Namely in Portugal, it's not going well.
No, it's not only in Portugal. I see it also in other countries, definitely in Slovakia. That's a question of the professionalization of public procurement officials, and we talk about it almost everybody talk about the professionalization of public procurement. I believe this kind of a project, this network of practitioners, as for example, iProcurement is bringing this professionalization also to the public procurement, because once we are sharing the examples of good practices, but also we are sharing the ideas. You know, we can see how the different issues, legal issues, are solved in the different countries. We are still using the same directive, right? The law is a little bit different in each country, but we still are having the same directive, and we can see the same issue is dealt in different countries in different ways. So I believe this is also very important to have professionalization of public procurement, to professionalize public procurers, the person, and to create these people with this mindset who would be able to take the risk and to do innovation procurement.
Eu posso, o que nós vivemos hoje em dia, até os dias de hoje, foi sempre a parte financeira como objetivo a atingir, seja no setor privado, seja no setor público. O que nós sentimos, por isso é que eu comentei a questão da cibersegurança, nós neste momento temos a necessitar não só das variáveis que estão na parte da contratação serem outras, ou seja, há um objeto, não há só a componente financeira, há algo que nos vai trazer ali um valor que não era quantificado, porque nós, se vamos fazer um processo de contratação só pelo preço mais baixo, portanto, era algo fácil para quem decidia, para quem sugeria soluções. Hoje em dia não é só isso, por isso é que nós, cada vez mais, e eu vejo a componente tecnológica como uma necessidade de ter um produto, e um produto já evoluído, preciso de uma contratação que me acompanhe. O que eu sinto em Portugal é que nós temos a necessitar de evolução, temos a necessitar de tecnologia, mas a nossa contratação ainda está a fazer o caminho, ainda não o fez. Daí que é muito importante, não só estas análises de risco, mas também que outras variáveis sejam incluídas nesta equação. E eu falo da componente tecnológica, do produto tecnológico que vai ter que ser oferecido. Nesta fase, temos a deixar, e eu falo por mim e pela minha unidade, estamos a deixar não só uma avaliação financeira para haver um peso maior no produto que é entregue. E daí o meu relacionamento com a área da contratação cada vez ser uma necessidade mais premente, uma ligação mais premente para, dentro deste processo de contratação, destes contratos de contratação, a componente do produto, a componente da mais-valia, ser um peso superior em relação à parte financeira.
Small comment?
I totally agree, but it comes back to the professionalization of public procurers, because for finding the technical component in a most advantageous tender equation, you have to have a specific people who are skilled in public procurement on one way, also skilled in the technical, so they understand the technical side, and it's definitely not the easy way.
Shall I just make a small comment regarding open market consultations? And we are not opening.
We almost finished the topic, so don't.
We discussed, Joseph and I, we discussed this for a long time. And so I won't bother you with this, but I definitely think that first, open market consultation is fundamental. It must be a transparent way between public sector and private sector. Public sector is not able, doesn't have the awareness of what is the last thing that is in the market, what is the best thing, what is the best solution, and so on. So, of course, who has the know-how is the private sector in those kinds of things we are talking about. What I think is, because of all of that we are discussing, we must have clear guidelines for that. how to do an open market consultation. I think this is fundamental. We have Article 40 of the directive, the classical directive, of course, but for instance, when you look at the Portuguese public code, public contracts code, sorry, you see that you must put the information that was gathered from the open market consultations, for instance, as an annex to the tender documentation. And that leads companies not to answer, because if they are asking about estimated price of the value of the contract, if they are asked about specifications or kind of products or kind of developments or and so on, they think, okay, I'm going to share my knowledge, I'm making an effort with the open market consultation, which is a big effort for a company. It will take time and people to do it, to answer it, and then afterwards that information, more or less, will be published in the tenders documents, and that for the other companies that were not at the open market consultation, that did not go there, didn't have the work and didn't share any knowledge, they will see it. And then they will come with better prices, with better delays or whatever it is. So it is it turns into a competition problem. And for this, for avoid this, I think we must say this out loud. I promised myself and Joseph that I was not going to say that, but okay, I think we must say it because we need it in Portugal to do this. We need to do good open market consultations, but we must do it in a transparent, public way. And for that, I think we need guidelines. I was listening to you, just this, Joseph, please. I was listening to you this morning, and you were saying, how do you, in practice, do open market consultations? And you said, okay, we have meetings, we record meetings. Wow. Well, I have lots of work, and I work a lot for law enforcement agencies. If I go somewhere and say, okay, we are going to make a record of this, they will say, she went crazy. Then we do minutes, then we publish that on the website. Well, this is the work, the path that we must do. But for this, it would be much easier if guidelines were done. So I think we should go that way, definitely.
And just one more thing. And again, coming back to online toolbox, there should be, I'm not sure if it is already there, but I'm not sure in this topic, there should be guidelines, because we did that in one deliverable show. So we prepared the methodology,
it is there.
How you should do the preliminary market consultation. There are some suggestions, including different practices from different countries. So it's not like one country focused. So it's already there, and it can be even better. This is the first iteration, and we can have a second and third. So we are working on that.
Just to add something, because I think what you said is quite interesting from a company perspective. I like the term open market, but of course, companies are very sensitive to sharing commercial advantages, yes. Right? So I think it's a nice idea. It's a nice concept. It should be a working concept, but you should be very careful as you manage, the information. Yes. Because, since we are here, we are talking about transparency, like 100,000 times, each sentence we are transparency. And, on my perspective, and I think it was brilliant the way you define how you decide, in the public tenders, because the way I see, the person on the opposite side of me is someone inside the box, a very constrained box. And then because of transparency, of course, they put these glass walls, right? So now it's transparent because you can see all around. but it's still a box, and the box is squeezed. And it's squeezed, of course, by political factors, because, I love the way you express, because it's actually, at least here in Portugal, is how I feel. The person that is going to take the decision, she's not only, driven by, of course, the output. She's driven by a lot of pressures. So the people take decisions. I remember when I was studying, and when I was start working in the 90s, say, I need to acquire some computers, and so there are so many good computers out there. Yeah, but I'm going to buy IBM. So why are you going to buy? They don't, it's IBM, so nobody is going to fire me. So because it's, and that is a key issue. And sometimes, you have this wonderful product, even from a startup or a SME, that they are doing something very special. But of course, it's risk, because, you don't even know if they are going to be there tomorrow. So what you are going to choose? You are going to choose the secure way. So, and I think this happens so many times. So I think, yeah, it's nice to have this box, with the glass, but you need to have, the politicals should give the persons that are going to decide some latitude, because it's very important. And I think from the company perspective, it's what we see every day.
Thank you very much, Joseph. If you allow me, I would like just to remind you, because this is an open debate, that you can go to the Slido, and they got this IPN 12, as you were following with me. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to make them through the Slido. And I might have one question for the three companies that are represented today. One of the ideas of the debate was for you to showcase what you are doing and what you are working on. We have a presentation in the brochure of the annual conference of the Quantico Solutions, UA Vision, and True Wind. But I would like you to share with us an experience that you have with a public entity in Portugal, and what can you offer to the Portuguese criminal police, if it's the case? Maybe you're already working with them.
Yeah, okay, we for us, like I said, we work mostly in the defense sector, and now we have this very good experience working with the criminal police, especially in innovation. And the thing I felt, and it was really nice for us, of course I'm going to talk about nice things, no, but to be very clear, was probably the first time we entered in a project when there was an awareness of innovation, of the innovation process. Okay, the way they presented the project to us, it's completely different, and that is driving us, a lot, because like I said, the box is a little bit open, so you can do much more, and even a little bit, it's much more. I can share with you just in 1 minute. We had other experience, for example, on the defense sector, where during the COVID crisis, there was this bid for 12 drones. By the way, we do drones. So and to do in 3 months, which is almost impossible. But of course, we had this experience, and we were the only company that accepted the challenge. We did the drones. Of course, we did not deliver all the drones in schedule, because it was during COVID, lack of microcontrollers, chips, and everything was like crazy. It was. In fact, the challenge was not to build something, was to find the parts to build something. In the end, we built, they are flying right now as we speak, but of course we got the penalty. And to be honest with you, I was expecting that penalty to come, because it didn't make sense in the context. So, and you were doing something quite new, like a shopping list. So I think the way the criminal police approaches is an evolution. Okay, and it's sincerely an evolution for a company to work, and this will give them, I hope, and this is my commitment, of course, this will give them a much better product. Okay, because there is this awareness right now. So this is the experience I like to share with you.
Thank you very much.
I can share also an experience. Some years ago, not 2016.
Your micro. Your micro.
Oh, sorry. In 2016, our company was challenged to develop the system that could prevent people that are manipulating pharmaceuticals in hospitals to not be so able to make mistakes. Because there was an accident in an hospital and some people become injured because of some bad manipulation. And an hospital approached us to develop a new system to be able to overcome this difficulty. So we developed special glasses that people have these glasses on their face, and everything they are doing is being monitored remotely by another person that is checking if everything goes by the standards and everything is okay. One innovation in this process, it's the most recent one, was with our hosts here, that we started to evaluate this product to be able to be used by policemen or for militaries in a different way. So it was an innovation on top of the innovation to have these glasses to be able to, in the field, to monitor everything that the people that are on the field are doing in real time with 4K image quality and with sound, real sound, and over 5G, 4G, over satellite communications. And this was a very good experience because it was two different sectors, and we made two innovations on top of our product. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that was with the health sector in Portugal, right? Like the health ministry or something like that?
Sorry?
Your experience was with the health ministry?
Exactly, it
Okay.
was public sector hospitals, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we are not a product company, so we are not that exciting as drones and stuff that allows people not to make mistakes. But basically, we see innovation not only as creating new stuff, but also giving new uses or finding new ways to do the same stuff in a more efficient way. And we try to achieve that by developing bespoke solutions, bespoke software solutions to address the challenges that that organizations face on their day-to-day activities. And we try to do it by identifying what brings most value on organizations, what are the outcomes that you are looking for that allows them to be more efficient, to be more transparent, if it is the case, to be more productive. And changing processes, changing the user experience in those processes is our focus. And we have been doing not only in the public sector, but also mostly in the private sector. But it's always a pride for us when we do it for the public sector, because it's, at the end of the day, it's our money that's stake, and it's important also.
Could you mention the specific public sector, or not? You're not allowed to, maybe?
One of them is the criminal police.
Okay, the criminal police.
A couple of public agencies in Portugal connected to the tourism sector or Ministry of Economy.
Okay. Thank you very much. Joseph, I don't know if you have any other topics to be... We still have a couple of minutes to go if you want to address.
Yeah, I have one interesting, moving the discussion a little bit further. Like me, we identify within the hyperconnect, obviously discussion about the artificial intelligence, how different police forces can use it for a different application in different application domain. But I would like to go back to using data, maybe artificial intelligence in public procurement. So maybe Isabella, Jose, if you can share with us your ideas how the machine learning or artificial intelligence can be used in public procurement, actually to help us, the public procurers, to make our job easier, so that we can really focus on what is important and strategic, for example, innovation or sustainable public procurement. So are there applications in that domain?
Indeed, there are many applications of artificial intelligence in public procurement. The Commission made a study in 2019 to understand what were the use cases of emerging technologies applied to public procurement. And we were quite surprised by then with the quantity and the development status of these projects. We were expecting, this was the beginning of 2019, that many things were on the planning or designing phase, but some of them were already there, they were developed, they were being used. And there are many interesting examples that I can mention. I just want, before mention the examples of the use of artificial intelligence in public procurement, to explain that this is possible today because we have much more structured data in public procurement than before. Artificial intelligence is one of the technologies that is data dependent. So you cannot use artificial intelligence if you don't have a minimal volume of data for the system to learn and to calculate and to process. And it's not only about the volume of data, you need also to have nice quality data. I mean, a minimal requirement, because if these algorithms is not good, and in public procurement, we still have a lot of problems today with wrong CPVs, with wrong amounts, with wrong classifications, with the wrong justifications. Is a mess. If you use these data and you apply AI to these, then you're going to have a crazy result, because nothing will be reliable in terms of use of artificial intelligence. Just one example coming from Finland. They start in 2015 trying to use artificial intelligence to classify invoices. They want to use the UN classification system, which, by the way, is very common in many countries. Australia has done the same, using artificial intelligence as well. And it took them 3 years to clean and to classify correctly the data they had. So they had to, first of all, detect what were the errors with the data they had with the invoices. They have to clean the data, the historical data, because when you use AI algorithms, there's a training period. They had to hire college young people to work during summertime to classify correctly, and only after that was possible to use AI. So for AI, which is quite common today in many ways, for basic functions in public procurement, we are speaking about innovation, and somehow we have not solved yet some of the basic needs for the process itself. One of them being the price index. There are a few countries, Belgium was one of them, Brazil, another country that has invested a lot using BI and artificial intelligence to have a price index. And why do we need a price index? Because one of the basic things you do in public procurement is to calculate the estimated price of the procedure. It's based on this that you're going to decide which type of procedure I'm going to select. But how can you have this if you don't have a price index? You kind of do like the fisherman. You lick the finger and see where the wind is coming from, and that's it. But this is not the right way to do it. And so Brazil and Belgium, they have done this because there's another very important point when you have a price index, is to calculate savings. Only by having an independent price index, you are in conditions to apply a formula to calculate savings in public procurement. There are many applications. In Portugal, it's not artificial intelligence, it's machine learning. The competition agency is using machine learning to detect collusion. So basically, they are using the information we have in the public contracts portal, which has several years of history in terms of contracts that were awarded. And they are using these algorithms to detect things that are invisible to the human eye. And artificial intelligence is used by Ukraine to do two very important things. One is the application of the CPV, which was already mentioned this morning. CPV is a very old classification system. Everybody recognizes that it's not good. We need a new one. But while we have this one, we have to use it. And is one of the areas where we have more errors in terms of information. So the Ukrainians developed a system using artificial intelligence that when the user is filling in the information in the computer, the algorithm is proposing three possibilities. It says, okay, 70% chance being this one, 50% chance being the other one, and so on. And this is, sorry, very important, because most of the times people tend to select what they think is okay because they use it the last time. Another thing where they use artificial intelligence is very, very interesting. They have a library of terms of reference. They can bind today to predict how many bids that tender will have and who will bid. This is very powerful, of course. You can use it for the good or for the bad. I'm not saying that this will be used with a negative intention. But if you want to increase competition, you can adjust the terms of reference today using AI to have more offers in a tender, to have better proposals, to have more competition, to solve many problems that were already mentioned here today. There's a power that is incredible in terms of using AI. For corruption is highly used. And there are many, many use cases that I could mention here, but just a taste of what is happening everywhere.
Thank you very much. And if I can add to the price indexes, actually in Slovakia, but not the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Health, they are doing also price indexes, partly by machine learning, but just really partly, and not using artificial intelligence. It's really hard work. They have a quite, I think, like 5 analysts checking different contracts within the Europe, even outside, for different medical appliances, you know, the big machines, which is really expensive. They go deep into the contracts and try to get the prices out, and then exactly they're using it for estimated price. Hopefully, I mean, the intention in Slovakia is that there will be also index prices for other commodities, for example, for the works, that should be implemented in a new platform that is being developed, but we will see how that goes. And thank you for your suggestions, because then I can suggest these kind of good practices to them.
Yes, I mean, the relation with innovation, I think, is quite obvious, because if you use these tools to improve the process, everything becomes more easy to implement innovation or buying innovation. Because we are speaking about, we want as an end goal that is to have better products and services for citizens and companies. But the process for buying something is already so difficult that everything that we can use to invest in the process, of course, will help us to have better innovation products and services. And sometimes even the same algorithm can tackle the process and the results of what we want to achieve. And I was discussing with several colleagues that including artificial intelligence today can be used to clean data, because we have so many problems with the errors that we have, that the same algorithm can detect the error patterns to clean the data and then use the data to calculate or whatever you want to process and you want to achieve. Is really very powerful. And I think we don't have the notion that the world has changed a lot in the last, I would say, 5 years in terms of the use of artificial intelligence. Is there on things that you have no clue. And yeah, is an amazing world.
Thank you very much. So, Joseph, we are about to get to the end of the debate. This is really, really nice to have all your thoughts on public procurement and all of these matters. So to sum up, I would like to say that the iProcurement project will try to help you with this. We need to go beyond sometimes our objectives of creating this network and just giving concrete information and creating guides and, you know, things that will help either the private sector or the public contracting authorities to do this. I was really happy to have you here. You have very interesting things about this. Before we leave, we have a very special invitation from Luisa. who would like to share with us the spectacular view we have from this building. So at the end of the conference, if you don't mind, we can go upstairs to just admire the view. Just don't worry for the security, everything is fixed and arranged for that. Thank you very much again, and I will give you a very big round of applause for everyone. So I think we get to the end of the annual conference. Again, thank you everyone for this really nice and complete conference on many topics of procurement and public procurement of innovation. I hope you enjoyed all the presentations and all the experience and best practices we had the chance to share. I hope we will see you either in a iProcurement event or somewhere else. Thank you to the Criminal Police of Portugal, who did an excellent job for the organization of the meeting. And a very special thank for Sylvia and Christina, who's hiding somewhere up there. And thank you everyone for your attention. Luisa, if you want to say some few words before we finish, thank you.
Finally, I think this was really a very good way to close this conference and allow me now to speak in my language. I'm going to speak in Portuguese, as you all have your headsets. Muito obrigada. Este painel, de facto, porque trouxe aqui tantas opiniões, tantas dificuldades, tantas orientações para o futuro, que eu acho que foi muito enriquecedor. E isto mostra que o eProcurement é um dos projetos que nós temos aqui que é verdadeiramente importante para nós ultrapassarmos alguns dos constrangimentos. E contratação pública fora daquilo que é o nosso ambiente tradicional é algo que tem que nos convocar e que nos motiva a todos. Eu fico muito contente quando ouço o Nuno Simões, da Wavision, dizer que a nossa abordagem, quando o contactámos, foi diferente. É porque, de facto, a polícia tem estado num caminho que iniciou há um tempo atrás e que é de muito orgulho. Nós sabemos muito bem que nós não podemos querer o melhor dos mundos para nós. Nós sabemos que o setor privado que trabalha connosco está tão empenhado em entregar-nos um bom produto como nós de o termos, porque é lógico que o setor privado, se algo corre mal, são as principais vítimas, porque nós somos funcionários públicos, temos o nosso salário assegurado, temos o nosso percurso mais ou menos assegurado, com reveses ou não, mas nós vamos cá continuar. As empresas não, as empresas, muitas delas morrem, são aniquiladas quando têm um fracasso, porque é isso que fica registado, é que não cumpriram o contrato, porque não tinham lá os componentes para fazer os drones todos que precisavam, e é isso que perdura. Não é a qualidade do trabalho que fizeram, e eu fico muito orgulhosa, porque a polícia de facto tem esta perspectiva de modernização e de inovação, conscientes de que temos que correr riscos, não sabemos muito bem como é que medimos esses riscos, e isso é algo que eu também já tinha dito de manhã e que o meu trabalho neste projeto e sobretudo com a Filomena me alertou há muito tempo atrás que de facto é este o grande problema que nós aqui temos. E portanto também vos queria deixar uma nota que houve um colega da Marinha, não foi neste evento, mas foi num evento anterior que tivemos a Conferência de Inovação em novembro, e ele disse aqui algo que eu retive na minha cabeça. Fail significa First Attempt into Learning. E é assim que nós temos que encarar. Quando nós falhamos é para aprender, porque já não vamos repetir aquele erro. E nós temos que ter a coragem de falhar, porque se não falharmos nós vamos continuar todos no nosso cantinho confortável, porque assim nós não sofremos nada, continuamos alegres e tranquilos. Quem quiser que faça, nós queremos é continuar tranquilos. Portanto, agradecer a este painel pela forma brilhante como termina esta conferência, agradecer ao Jorge, em português, a forma brilhante como esteve aqui estes 2 dias, agradecer à organização do Ministério do Interior francês, à Artic, os meus colegas, a equipa da PJ, a Teresa, a equipa técnica que está lá em cima, os intérpretes que vocês não viram, estão online, e de facto todos merecem uma salva de palmas. A Filomena, que vocês conhecem melhor do que me conheciam a mim, toda a gente conhece a Filomena no eProcurement, realmente tem um papel fundamental neste projeto, porque sem a visão dela, fresca, do que é o direito e a lei e as obrigações contratuais e a forma como ela conhece o setor público, provavelmente a nossa prestação neste projeto também não seria esta. E, portanto, eu acho que estamos todos de parabéns. Esta direção da Polícia Judiciária tem um compromisso muito grande com a inovação a todos os níveis, muito consciente que, de facto, os riscos, as ameaças para a investigação criminal são muito grandes e que isto não vai lá só ir ver o que é que os fornecedores já têm para oferecer. Não têm aquilo que nós precisamos, não têm ao nível daquilo que nós precisamos, ao preço que nós podemos pagar, mas pagar significa pagar de acordo com aquilo que vai servir os objetivos desta organização, que tem o cidadão a quem tem que servir, tem que prestar um bom serviço público e que tem que continuar a orgulhar-se de ser a Polícia Judiciária, aquela que em Portugal se afirma como a primeira defensora dos direitos humanos e, portanto, esse é o nosso compromisso. Um obrigada muito especial a vocês todos que estiveram aqui, não desistiram. Obrigada. E da minha parte, that's all. Jorge, thank you again.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you.